What's up, gang? We're back by the tracks once again. If you watched the last video, you knew that we were in the Swanee and Buford area. First catching Norfolk Southern 27A, seeing a lot of material sitting next to the rails in preparation for rail maintenance, seeing a giant magnet-equipped high railer move tie plates next to the rails in the midst of the mainline traffic going by, and then finally ending off with a bluebird trailing on 154.
Incredible.
It's a very good time trackside. These catches came at a cost though.
What do you mean by that?
Because I was supposed to meet up with that model guy, and because I was staying in Buford waiting for all this action to clear, I picked him up almost an hour after I said I was going to.
This guy stinks!
And then in the midst of that, we missed Norfolk Southern 282. We saw its tail end as we were heading over to the tracks. 282 ain't have anything special on it though, so I was not worried about that. The real specialty was coming with the next train that was coming after it, because that model guy informed me, right when I picked him up, the Norfolk Southern 242 had left Inman Yard with the creamsicle leading it.
Excuse me?
Yup, Norfolk Southern 8105 on the head end.
So thick, smooth, fine, creamy.
And so, knowing that it had left Atlanta and that it was coming up to Greenville, we made our first stop of the day in Norcross, Georgia, where after a pretty short wait, Norfolk Southern 242 and Norfolk Southern 8105 with the beautiful K5HLA horn on it came by blasting through town. What do we always say, my friends? Never a dull moment. If me and that model guy are in the same vicinity, it will not be a normal day. Somehow, on top of the fact that this train was already special enough with a heritage unit leading it, one of the intermodal cars was smoking as it came by through town.
Oh, that's hot.
Leaving a very strong odor of burnt metal in the area.
Bro, you can smell it. You can smell the smoke, bro.
No, I saw the smoke.
Yeah, I saw it before it came.
Me and that model guy, we were high-key hyped looking at this. And knowing that it would eventually have to stop at this point, we started making our way back to the car, expecting the defect detector to catch it. But,
Norfolk Southern, milepost 61. No defect.
What? He had a hotbox!
He's a liar!
What?
now before any of you NS Glazers start talking about some
Let the defect detectors not work. No wonder these towers not happening.
wayside detection caught the train and they stopped, okay?
Thank you.
And they ended up stopping in Duluth, Georgia, which was the nearest siding that was available after Norcross. Here we see Norfolk Southern 8105 parked here.
Creamy.
And off in the distance, we can see the vest of the poor conductor that now has to walk the whole train and find where the issue was.
One shot of that.
Oh, unfortunate soul. And since me and that model guy knew how far back the car was from the head end, we knew that it was gonna be a little bit before this train started moving. And while we waited for this little debacle to get cleaned up, a little crowd started showing up. Apparently a bunch of the local foamers, including myself, had caught wind of this incident and were now just gathered here waiting for the next move, including Andrew. Always a pleasure to see that, man. Now, just based on the fact that the wheels were smoking, I assumed that it was probably a sticky handbrake.
What are you talking about, man?
Or basically, someone didn't untie a handbrake on one of the cars, which means that as the train is moving, the wheels are just grinding against the metal brake shoes. And of course, with all that friction, you're gonna start generating heat and eventually smoke.
Wow.
And you know what the craziest thing is?
Nope.
Remember how I said we missed 282?
Yeah.
Apparently 282 was stopped in Buford at this moment because they also got caught by the wayside detector for having a smoking axle. What is going on in Inman Yard? And in the midst of all this, Norfolk Southern 283 was coming, and there was some weird radio chatter that was going on. Apparently, dispatch was confused on who had stopped or who needed to be stopped or who was stopped where. It was very confusing, but it looked like the crews were kind of getting Sick of the dispatch. But regardless, the trains gotta keep moving. And speaking of moving trains, Norfolk Southern 283, having bypassed 282 in Buford, now came rounding the curve in Duluth, Georgia to bypass 242, still resolving its issue here. After 283 cleared, it was more dispatch goonery. There was a local that comes out of Chamblee Yard in the Doraville-Chamblee area, Norfolk Southern P72, that runs up to Toccoa, Georgia. And it looked like Norfolk Southern P72 was gonna get lined ahead of this 242 until they took back the clearance. Wow. I couldn't tell you why. I guess dispatch decided that they wanted 242 to get ahead of them before P72 decided to leave the yard. And speaking of 242, turning back to the consist, we can see a vehicle heading over to the head end. This vehicle is actually carrying the conductor, who has actually found the issue with the train. And just as I had suspected, it was two sticky handbrakes on the intermodal cars that we had seen smoking through Norcross.
Coming, Andrew, the officer coming.
Once the conductor got into the cab, they called out to dispatch saying that they had found two sticky handbrakes and that the issue had been resolved and they were ready to start moving. Which meant that me and that motor guy were aware that 242 was soon to get some clearance. And so, knowing that it was about to leave, we didn't want the same shot, and I wanted to catch some of the new equipment that's in Duluth, Georgia right now. So we went just down the road and parked next to the new quad gates here. Quad gates that signal the quiet zone that will eventually be enforced in Duluth, Georgia, and prevent trains from blowing through here. Fortunately for us, that quiet zone is nowhere to be seen right now.
Nice.
As 242 now came by, blasting its beautiful horn through the city. With 242 gone, me and that motor guy decided that we didn't want to be lame. And thought that we might as well try to chase it down and have some fun. Unfortunately for us, rush hour traffic had different ideas.
I was doing the boxcar. It's so weird.
Only a boxcar beating us.
The traffic and the red lights were selling us because literally the whole train passed by us without us even getting 2 miles outside of Duluth, Georgia. Fortunately, since I know my way around the area, I knew not to take this road that we were on, Buford Highway, unlike one of my friends who tried chasing this train and just completely straight up missed it.
You cook, big dog. Scrambled egg.
And used a quicker route to get to Buford, Georgia to try to beat it to CP Walters.
It's right there.
Y'all was not gonna catch me.
Yeah, that didn't work either. And so it was back to more driving and more pacing.
Hellcat.
It's a box.
It's the boxcar.
We get to face a boxcar. Yeah. We're pacing it.
Main Central.
We're pacing it again. That's fine.
All right, this is our second time.
Keep it clear of the car.
After somehow beating the head end, we wanted to try to beat it to Chambly Road. And honestly, we were making excellent distance until we were on a single lane stretch of road. And of course, a truck broke down on a hill.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Like, I can't even make this up, bro. What is going on out here? So, Chambly Road was a bust, and we instead just went down to Oakwood, Georgia, where the intermediate signal here showed clearance for 242, which shortly came on by for the enjoyment of me and that model guy, and another one of our friends that happened to be here. Remember that P72 I'd mentioned earlier? Well, now that 242 was gone, P72 got lined right behind it. The P72 had its own specialty on it because it was being led by Norfolk Southern 1800, one of the yellow bonnet ACCs, and in fact the first ST70 ACC that Norfolk Southern ever made.
Sensational.
We love to see it. Knowing that it has some distance behind 242, me and that model guy made our way down to Chambly Road to meet up with another one of our friends to catch this train as it races up to Tacoma, Georgia. As you can probably tell, the light is starting to leave us. So this was as far north as we were going to go, and it was time to start heading back down towards the Norcross area. While we did, however, we of course were following the main line, checking signals to see if anything was coming by. We went through Flowery Branch and we went through Buford, and the signals didn't indicate anything until we went by Suwanee, Georgia, and the intermediate signal was red, which meant that we knew that there was a northbound line. So we parked by the caboose and we were just having a casual stroll off to the spot that we wanted to get until, of course, the defect detector jump scared us.
I can't believe this.
And within 2 minutes of it going off, the headlights of yet another Norfolk Southern 154 appeared as this manifest ascends the Suwanee Hill. another 154, and yet another bluebird. We love to see it. You would think that our day would end here, considering that it's nightfall, but we still had a little more action left for us. We actually returned back to Norcross because that model guy, in the midst of us hyping over the fact that 242 had a smoking axle, completely forgot his drone cover on the ground somewhere. And we also knew that Norfolk Southern 240 was lined out, and we wanted to see if we could catch it in the meantime. And fortunately for us, despite it being dark, we were able to find the transparent cover lying on the ground, and shortly after, Norfolk Southern 240 came by with a P5 leader on the front. And just like that, this action-packed day comes to a close. Never a dull moment, we say, because you truthfully never know what you'll catch on the high iron, especially when me and that one guy are in the same space. A lot of very nice surprises that made for a very unforgettable day. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, my friends, God bless. I will see you soon out on the high iron.